Welcome to day number 25. So honored to be here with all of you, a quarter of the way through my self-connection experiments. I feel like so much has changed in 25 days since I started meditating every day for 2 hours and then sharing what I'm experiencing with you guys. It's so funny. I don't even think in terms of like days anymore, of like, oh, that's a month away. I think in terms of like, oh, that's 30 videos away. Like, who knows what my life will be like in 30 videos, like 60 videos. It's just funny how I think of days now. I think in terms of videos. And I think we can all relate that to the feeling that things are just changing in our inner reality so intensely and so rapidly. And our outer reality is starting to reflect that closer to like real time than ever. I feel like there's less of a lag now as far as like how our externals reflecting our internal, like the mirror process. And so I just wanted to share that, like, yes, things do change in your life when you start meditating for long periods, when you start becoming committed to sharing your gifts in a consistent way. Your life does change. And for me, I can point to the biggest thing, the biggest shift that has occurred in my life is just more abundance. And not just in a material way, because that is happening, but also in just a more of this spiritual and psychic way too, where I feel like more than ever, a greater force is now working through me, is now creating through me. It's like this self-connection experience, more and more, it just kind of takes on a life of its own. It's not so much me. It's like I'm just allowing myself to become more and more of this conduit, and I'm just kind of getting out of the way and letting this presence, letting this these energies just flow through and create what they want to through me for the whole, for the one to benefit from. And so that's what that's I think one of the things I wanted to share is it's like it's not even you at a certain point. It's just you're just letting it happen through you. And this can happen when we start having this momentum, when we start allowing something to really live through us as us. You could say your higher self, the divine mother, whatever really resonates with you. Today's video, I wanted to share something that I started experiencing yesterday some, and has carried over a little bit today, but I feel like it's important to share. I feel like these energies, like as quick as we're moving and we're tapping into higher frequencies, we can feel very purgy at times, right? Just lots of, lots of this feeling. These energies, as heightened as they are, they're going to magnify and illuminate any type of fear programming within us. They're going, and that could cause like a lot of really fearful thoughts, some mild to intense mental illness like neurosis, a lot of OCD. Yesterday, I was having some really intense OCD patterns come up. I've always had OCD since I was a little child, and it's been something that's really come into my experience in waves. And yesterday, I was like having some real intense OCD, some OCD I hadn't quite experienced to that level of like, it was like a real disturbance for a minute there, and I hadn't experienced it in that way for a while. So I wanted to point out, like, yes, these higher frequencies, we're all holding a higher frequency right now. But that is going to really shine a light on any psychological imbalances or any type of old, kind of like those areas in you that really want to control life. Like that's kind of what OCD really is in a nutshell. It's all about control. It's all about not trusting life. So any of those areas in you right now are really going to be brought to the surface. And the key isn't like, how do we avoid that happening? It's going to happen. Like, our fears are going to be brought to the surface. That's what these energies are here to do. They're here to purify our energy bodies, our emotional bodies. They're here to really, like, literally lift the fear core up and out. They're just like bringing this fear up and out of our body. So the key isn't like how to avoid this. The real movement here, the crucial thing is, how do we respond? And I wrote down a key to responding to, like, maybe you're having intense thought storms, lots of negative thoughts, really fearful, paranoid thoughts. The crucial part here is, like, can we respond to those thoughts with loving kindness? Can we feel into like where in the body are these thoughts being produced from, right? Like what within us is like what part within us is like terrified of higher frequencies, terrified of stepping into more power, more responsibility, terrified of letting go of the old patterns of staying small and unseen. What part, like, can we feel where that's coming from the body? Maybe it's like the heart, maybe it's the guts, maybe it's down in the sacral and the root, maybe it's in the throat. And can we just be with that part of us in loving kindness? Not asking it to stop thinking its paranoid thoughts, not asking it to stop doing its OCD control dance, right? Not asking the part of us that's producing symptoms of mental illness to stop, but just, and not judging it, right? But being gentle with it, having some compassion. And just like kind of feeling into it. And as you're breathing inwards, can you feel into it? I love you. Can you just really start like just flooding this part of you with love? Just breathing in, I love you. And as you exhale, it's okay, or you're safe. And just feeling into this mantra, into those scared parts of us. Those parts of us that, like I said, are just like, oh, these frequencies are too high. It's so much light. And they're like really starting to be seen. And these parts of us, the last time they were seen, maybe they got yelled at, maybe they got whacked, maybe something bad happened. And so they learned to not trust life. They learned that they had to control life. And so these higher frequencies can really be like triggering for our fear core, for that part of us that doesn't trust life, that produces the OCD, the mental illness. And know this, just like in like with Ascension purge symptoms, like a lot of times the body, it'll get sick, right? It'll have flu-like conditions. The body will take on some illness as it's purging. Nothing's different with the mind. The mind can also go through a purge, right? The mind space can go through this deep purge where it can come down with some illness as well. So know that the mental illness, if it's arriving like neurosis, some intense OCD, some paranoid thoughts, some uncontrollable negative thoughts, know that this is just kind of like a storm and it passes. And the hardest part of being in any storm is like you don't know when it's going to pass, but you do know it does pass. And so know with like these intense frequencies, coming into planet Earth, as you're absorbing them, as your field is purifying, as these energies are purifying your field, know that like these thought storms, these intense temporary states of mental illness, they are going to pass. Your job isn't to do anything about it, to fix it, to heal it, to make them go away, to have a technique. Your job is just to simply allow it to pass. And if there was a technique, it is that one I mentioned. It's not really a technique. It's just this natural mantra. If it feels natural to you, you don't really want to force, right? So if it feels super forceful to try to love the part of you that's scared, then just let that go. Be genuine, be authentic and honest with yourself. If it feels just authentic to just kind of where we're at is just to kind of sit with it and to allow it, then just be there. That's plenty. Like these energies are healing these wounds for you. The divine is healing you. You don't have to. It's like the more we actually try to get involved on some levels, the more chaotic it can kind of get, right? Especially with the thoughts and all the fear stuff coming up. So one of the greatest tips is just to allow, to let this process unfold how it wants to. And you are being held by the divine. The divine is orchestrating this process. These energies, these fears are coming up and out. They're not coming in. So do have faith, do have trust that you are purging. You are purging this fear. This fear is being seen by the light finally. It's like it's been in us our whole life, maybe even lifetimes, right? But now our frequencies are high enough. There's so much light here on Earth right now that finally these old fear programs, these old traumas, these old wounds can finally come up and be met by the light. And they get to relearn that, oh, yes, they are loved too. It's like the light is re-educating them. It's like the light is bringing home the darkness. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to share with you guys. Let me see if there's anything. Oh, a big practical tip here is what we are putting into our guts is going to have a big impact on what we're feeling and thinking in the mind space, right? And I've been going through this myself intensely lately, really having to refine my diet, really taking into deep consideration everything I'm putting in my gut. Because when we're going through these purge times, we want to be assisting the purges rather than kind of making them even more intense. So if we're putting things in our gut that our body has to like detoxify even more intensely, that our body has to work even harder to, like, our bodies are already working super hard right now in these purge phases to release and to detox. So we really want to try to avoid making even more work for the body. I noticed yesterday how I kind of overate a little bit and I ate some heavier foods that usually I can kind of get away with. But yesterday I just couldn't, and I really felt it in my mental space. So really keep an eye on what you're eating. Maybe even moving into like some intermittent fasting. It will be really good for you. I know there's like so much information on that. So just kind of feel into like what is your body asking for during these purge phases, especially when you're having a purge of fear. So I wanted to connect with the body there and let you guys know that that's something that's been affecting me. And yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. Just know that you're not alone, that I'm going through so much purging myself, so much fear comes up, and and the real thing I wanted to bring through is like, how are we meeting what's coming up? You know, we really don't want to be suppressing it, saying it shouldn't be here, judging ourselves for it, thinking we did something wrong or we're being punished. No, we want to be open to what's coming up, to be thankful, like, yeah, thank you, Source. Thank you for taking this from me. Thank you for allowing this fear to finally come up and out. Because guess what? On the other side of these fear purges, we are more free than ever. We have less fear in our body. We feel more safe to be seen in our authentic expression. And our authentic expression is truly the most valuable gift we can bring into this reality. It's like, and to bring the authentic expression through, it really comes through the heart space. So feel when you're having those paranoid thoughts, the kind of the mental illness, the neurosis, maybe it's the OCD, you know, like the terror even. Feel in your body, where are you feeling it from? A lot of times it's in the heart space. A lot of times it means something in our heart needs to be held. It just needs to be sat with. It doesn't need to be told, don't feel this. It just wants you to, it's just like asking for you. Can you just sit with me while I'm scared, and just let it be scared. And you're the greater space, holding the scared part of you, loving it, telling it it's safe, that it's okay, that we can trust these energies, that it can be seen by you, and that you're not going to say, go away, I don't want to see you, you know? And that's going to help you guys a lot. So I hope that this video was helpful. You guys are doing such beautiful work, all of you. I just feel so honored to be here on this journey with you guys. And I love you all so much. Namaste.